going to go through as much details. What I'm trying to tell you, that then the science of hadith came into place, in which then we started filtering the authentic from the inauthentic. Okay, so the genre or the category of hadith became such an established science, in which we want to make sure that there is an authentic report from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, that's the whole genre of hadith literature. When it came to biographical literature, there are people who are interested in writing the maghazi literatures in terms of what sort of battles and the confrontation Prophet ﷺ had, and they'll talk about this. And there's many in early literature on this issue in terms of the maghazi of this person and so on and so forth, right? So people were writing about Rasulullah ﷺ. Again, they didn't have that particular in a concept in mind, that we have to make sure every single report that we have is authenticated. Some of them, they made their particular principle, say, okay, I am collecting information about Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his biography, from all the sources that is available to me, whether they are excuse me, authentic, inauthentic, or otherwise, and I will leave this for later scholars to filter this out and so on. So when, for example, Ibn Ishaq wrote his biography, which is an early biography, it contains so much materials which is inappropriate. When Ibn Hisham came, he filtered much of this inappropriate material and gave us the materials which he deemed, in his understanding and principles that he utilized, to be authentic and to be agreeable. Okay, so this process went on from earlier on. So people started writing about the Prophet and collecting everything they said. Later scholars, they started filtering and then saying, okay, fine. They did not employ or utilize the tools that has been used in the seerah literature. So to give an example, this is a book called what is going to be up there. Because it's blurred. Let me remove the blurring first of all. 1 second. Maybe that will help. So if you see this book, it's a camera is the other way around. Fiqh Sirah by Muhammad Ghazali. He talks about in the introduction how people started writing the seerah literature, and in terms of giving the authenticity that is due within narrating the seerah literature. Okay, so people made principle that, okay, fine, if it doesn't say something about what the Prophet said and so on, but people are narrating their accounts of what they have seen and heard about the events, then historically speaking, from a historical perspective, they say these things material can be used to understand the historical realities that went by. But yet others, questioned and saying, but again, we want to know the historical event from the eyes of a historian who's critical, using critical methods and tools, and reject the historical event from the eyes of a historian who's critical, using critical methods and tools, and reject things which can be rejected by this tool, because people can narrate so many things. Whatever, they're rumors and so on. I mean, this is an example of many rumors that were there, that the Quraysh, they saw something and they started talking about, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, for example, he prostrated to the idols, Allat, Al-Manat, Al-Uzza, and so on. The rumor spread, and some people started narrating this as well. But when you start analyzing critically, you will see like this rumor that was spread by some certain zanadiqa, some people who are not trustworthy and reliable and hypocrites. And because of their particular bias, they reported this, and the event became in the historical memory of the generation. But again, it doesn't make it true just because it's something in a historical memory of a generation that is true. It could be quite well-known rumor, attested by various sources, but you still can go and authenticate or disauthenticate or falsify these events. So this is an example of how he started taking about the particular methodology that should be applied to seerah. And if you do apply to seerah, he explains how we can still get the authentic biography of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So it doesn't mean that we cannot then find the seerah which is in line with what we find in our authentic hadith. Example of this would be this particular biography. How do I get my camera? 1 second. The other way around. Mirror my camera. Yep, got you there. MashaAllah. Technology. So you can see this book here, the biography of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam by Dr. Mahdi Rizqullah Ahmed, translated by Sayyid Iqbal Zahir Darussalam, published in 2 volumes, employing again this critical understanding of reports and only using things which are acceptable in terms of authentics, in terms of acceptability, like you find in the hadith literature. And you will find this literature of the seerah then filtered through all these inauthentic rumors and weaker reports, or even fabricated reports in the biography of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The other well-known one I'm sure you've heard is a very famous popular read, Al-Rahiq Al-Makhtoum by Al-Mubarak Furi, in which he actually won a prize because of his endeavor in writing this, only going through all the authentic reports and writing seerah, the biography of the Prophet ﷺ, from authenticated reports from the hadith and so on and so forth. So when you say you see a disconnect, because earlier writers in seerah, they were just transmitters, they were historians, okay? Just like At-Tabari wrote Tarikh al-Tabari and Rasul al-Mulk in terms of so many volumes, and he said in his preface, he is just transmitting what has been received from his sources, and is leaving the authentication of the actual reports that he has, whether they are false, weak, or authentic, for later critical scholars, people who will then look into it. Okay, so he's just passing on what is available. So you, my brother Suhaib, and brother Muhsin and Hussein, you are listening. There's a question from the brother Muhsin. When you see a disconnect between seerah, and because you have to understand the methodology that were used in transmitting this kind of literature, the biographical literature and the hadith literature, the particular attention to detail in terms of authenticity they are used, it wasn't the same. So now you will find many seerah books that are compiled now. They employ this critical methods of authenticating the reports and only accept which is sound and authentic, and would leave out the rumors and the fabricated ones and the inauthentic ones, because we don't need to rely on these kind of reports, because they well may be rumors spread by many people who are enemies of Islam. So that is my response to you, my brother, in terms of when we examine two different genre of literature, the sayings of the Prophet ﷺ collected in the hadith and sayings maybe also collected in the seerah literature or his life, we have to think in terms of the method that people use in transmitting and collecting these two particular genres. So, brother Mahsin, thank you patiently for
Okay. Can I say something?
now.
Okay.
What